reporting for TTN-HD here with Avi FEDERGREEN, producer at FEDERGREEN Entertainment. Avi, can you tell me a bit about Canadian independent filmmaking and the importance of it today?
Yeah, we as Canadian filmmakers, I think it's really important to tell Canadian stories, and I'd like to think that the stories that I'm telling are true Canadian stories as far as, they're written by Canadians, directed by Canadians, produced by Canadians, acted by Canadians for the most part. And it's important for us as a cultural entity within Canada to tell these stories, and for audiences in Canada to support Canadian cinema. It's very important to me, which is one of the reasons why I started my own film distribution company, IndieCan Entertainment, which is geared towards Canadian indie films made for a budget less than 1.25 Canadian. Those films, we make about 250 films in Canada every year, of which not even 10% get distribution, and the remaining ones are left to fend for themselves. And it's no fault of the distributors in Canada, because they can only take so many films. But because we don't have a ton of distribution channels in Canada, these filmmakers are left to either distribute the films themselves, which most of them don't know what to do, or they basically sit on a shelf and collect dust. And I think it's important to get those films out there. So my mission was to try to take some of those films, eventually hoping to take 15 to 20 films a year, and try to help them get an audience. And right now IndieCan has taken on 2 films. One is a movie that I exec produced called MOONPOINT, which will be coming to theaters February the 3rd at the AMC Yonge and Dundas in Toronto, and then hopefully various other cities across the country. And another film called Peace Out, which is a documentary directed by a friend of mine named Charles Wilkinson, about the Peace River area in British Columbia that is heavily mined for natural gas, and the impact on those residents and the environment.
Can you tell me a little bit about MOONPOINT and kind of the audience? I know it's a little bit of a love story.
Yeah, so it's we've all had our first loves in our lives, some of which maybe we wound up with, some of which we think about once in a while. And it's about a character named Daryl who decides to go on a road trip with his friend Femur and a tag-along named Kristen to go and find his first love, Sarah Cherry, who happens to be shooting a low-budget horror movie in a place called MOONPOINT. And it's a road movie. It's a romantic comedy of sorts, very much similar to a John Hughes movie of days gone by. Movies like Some Kind of Wonderful, or a movie that I like to refer to quite often when speaking about MOONPOINT is a movie called Garden State. So it's a great little film. It was made low budget through the actor tip program.
And you worked with Sean Cisterna and Christian Potenza on this?
Yeah, so Sean directed the movie. It was written by a great guy named Rob Lazar, and produced by Sean and Christian Potenza. And it will be, like I said, it'll be coming out on the February 3rd in theaters. So.
Great. And you're also working on a 3D Canadian film as well.
Yeah, so I exec produced a film directed by a woman named April Mullen, produced by April and her producing partner Tim Dorian. It's called Dead Before Dawn. It stars Devin Bostick, Martha McIsaac, Brandon J. McLaren, Kyle Schmidt, and a host of others, including Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future. And it's the first ever Telefilm financed 3D movie. And it will be in theaters this year. We've recently finished post-production, and April and Tim have made 2 previous movies, Gravy Train and Rock, Paper, Scissors, the Tosser story. And so I think audiences will really like this 3D effort, and like I said, it should be in theaters this fall.
From a producing perspective, were there any major differences as opposed to producing 3D versus regular film?
Well, 3D is a much more difficult format to shoot, and it's much more expensive. The budget of this film is nowhere near what the budget would be on a normal 3D movie, but thanks to suppliers like David J. Woods and Red Lab in Toronto that helped us with um, the 3D equipment and the post-production, and we had an amazing crew of people that worked really, really hard and we shot it in Niagara Falls area in St. Catharines, and Port Colborne, and so, I think people will be really impressed with what we've come up with, and it's only because Tim and April have really they devised this vision for the last 3 or so years with a great script, a great plan, really hardworking people, and a real amazing family that they come from, both of them, that supported them and helped us with the making of the film. Without all of that, I don't think the movie would have been possible. I also have a film that is coming out later this year called Still, written and directed and produced with Mike McGowan, and that's our third movie together.
So you must really like working with him.
Mike's a talent. He's one of the very few people that I've ever worked with that really is an amazing writer and director combined, and he knows how to produce films too. So he's got the trifecta, so to speak, and he's a really nice guy, and the crew really loves working behind him, and the cast really adores him as well, and really he works with the cast really, really well on the set and behind the scenes too. So it's a great relationship working with him, and I have a huge admiration for him. And so that film hopefully will be in TIFF this year, and we'll see how it goes.
Great. How do you choose the films that you're going to work on? Are you, guided from, do you have some kind of mantra, or like, how do you go about choosing films?
I read about 100 scripts a year, and I read about 30 to 40 novels a year, all Canadian novels. And I look for material, and of the 100 scripts I read, maybe I'll take 2 of them. Books, maybe 1, maybe 2. I'm very picky. It has to be commercially viable. It's like having a baby. You have to be willing to invest years of your life in a project, and so I take it very seriously what I'm about to endeavor upon. And the people that I end up working with, the writers, the directors, and it's a collaborative effort. We're all in this together, and so I'm very careful about the team that I put together. And because again, we have to live together for all these years in making the film. So, I don't look beyond the borders of Canada. I only read Canadian written material, and the directors that I work with obviously are solely Canadian. And I've started to now work with some producing partners because of the amount of work that it takes to make a movie. I've been partnering up with people and also trying to help emerging filmmakers. So either first-time producers or, producers have only done shorts. I've been trying to, work with them and mentor them and help them. Same thing with directors and writers. They are our future, and it's important to support those people. And so the projects that I'm doing are mostly emerging filmmakers.
And if there's one piece of advice you would give to an emerging filmmaker, what would it be?
Become a doctor. No. Look, I think it's all about if you have a fire burning in your belly to do this is something that you are empowered to do, be it whether you want to be an actress or a writer or a director or producer, whatever it is, if you really believe this is something you want to do, and doesn't matter what the cost, do it. And because you never want to have a regret. And I have never regretted my decision to get in the business. It's not a money-making venture for me, and it never was, and it never will be. I'm very passionate about what I do, and hope that I get to do it for the rest of my life.
Great. Well, and is there a website where we can check out your upcoming work?
Yeah, so you can check out from my production side at www.feddegreenentertainment.com. There will be an IndieCan website soon at www.indiecanent.com. I'm also on Facebook for Feddegreen Entertainment or IndieCan or myself. And if you're a filmmaker and you have a project you're interested in me looking at, both either as a producer or as a distributor, I always welcome the opportunity to talk to you.
Perfect. And can you go over the screening dates again?
Yeah, so MOONPOINT will be released February the 3rd at AMC Yonge and Dundas in Toronto. Look for one-off screenings in various other cities across Canada for MOONPOINT. Peace Out is currently doing a run in British Columbia and soon in Alberta, and hopefully in the east part of the country starting in March 2012.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Avi, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you.
I'm Katie Uhlmann reporting for TTN-HD Production Live.